If you're going quiet, you're not conserving energy, you're bleeding authority. And the longer you stay silent, the louder the dysfunction gets. So, welcome to Solving People Problems, the show where leaders come when the people part of leadership is the hardest part. I'm Brendan Eckvattel, and I've spent 30 years in HR, crisis management, and handling the kind of workplace chaos that no one ever warns you about. And every episode, we get straight to the point, real problems, real people, real solutions so that you can use today. So, no theory, no sugarcoating, just the tools you need to lead with authority to protect your sanity and keep your team performing at its best. Now, by the time you've gone silent, your team has probably already sensed the shift. You're not just tired, you're shutting down because pressure just doesn't stop, because the emotional labor is constant, because strong 24/7 is killing your clarity and draining your identity. But from the outside, you look like you're fine. You're nodding, you're holding it together, but still in the room, but not really present. That's the version of burnout nobody ever wants to talk about, the quiet one. The one that shows up as numbness, not collapse. The one where your brain goes foggy and your mouth goes quiet because you're running out of capacity to deal. And here's what makes it worse. You don't have a reset. No one gave you permission to pause. You think if you take a breath, people will question your ability to lead. But the truth is that you don't need to power through. You need to reset before you break. So here's what works. When you're feeling those moments and the fog sets in, I want you to say this. I need a moment. I want to respond and not react. That one sentence, that buys you space without losing momentum. It models emotional control in real time and it reframes pausing as strength, not avoidance. It tells the room, I'm still in charge, but I won't lead from chaos because leadership isn't about being the most reactive person in the room. It's about creating calm when everything else is trying to pull you under. So here's the truth. Burnout doesn't start with collapse. It starts with silence. It starts with those micro moments where you abandon yourself to stay composed and where you go quiet instead of setting the boundary, where you walk away from conflict, not because it's resolved, but because you're too fried to even care. So let me ask you this question. How many more times are you going to leave a meeting feeling like you lost a piece of yourself just to keep the peace? How many more moments are you going to shrink inside your own leadership because no one ever gave you language for what you're carrying? Now, can we agree that every time you go quiet, your team doesn't see resilience, they see retreat? So, how many of you left a meeting with your mouth shut, but your chest tight, knowing you walked out smaller than you walked in? How many of you kept nodding, looking for something that will allow you to look calm while your brain was foggy and your authority was slipping away? How many of you told yourself you were avoiding conflict when really you were avoiding yourself? Now realize this, that silence isn't peace, it's permission. And the longer you let it stretch, the more it trains your team to lead without you. Because you don't model strength by swallowing words, you model it by pausing, resetting, and finding that clarity that you need. You don't build trust by disappearing. You build it by showing you can create calm without losing control. And you don't stop burnout by staying quiet. You stop it by refusing to abandon your own voice. So, where in your leadership are you mistaking silence for strength? Where are you letting exhaustion rewrite your presence in the room? And what would change if instead of going numb, you gave yourself permission to pause before you break? Silence doesn't protect your authority, it drains it. Reset it early, and you won't just survive the moment, you'll own it. Now that starts today, and you can begin to master it, truly master it, on October 22nd in Virginia Beach. My Leadership Unleashed live event will show you what to say, when to say it, and why it works. So tense rooms settle and your team moves in the way you want it to. It's not just another leadership event. Oh, no. It is the one room where you'll finally get the tools to deal with the chaos no one warned you about. Employees who push back, performance that slips, and team dynamics that drain the ever living life out of your leadership. So join me and two Navy SEALs for a full day of high intensity reset that'll shift how you lead under pressure because trust, clarity, and control, they don't happen overnight and they don't happen by accident. You build them. So seats are limited. We have a few VIP spots left. So go to leadershipunleashedlive.com and book your spot.